You know, guys, I was actually really close to not playing this deck anymore. I took a couple of hard L's during this Brave Token format. But you know what? After some theory crafting, I figured out that playing board breakers just wasn't the flex this format anymore. And I think I finally solved the going second build for Unchained for this format. And dude, this locals that I won, I destroyed all Brave decks. The only decks I played against were different versions of Brave decks, and I just slaughtered them. Why? Well, because I stopped playing board breakers. Just really not the flex this format. And I'll show you what I was playing. So, the one thing that's always constant, the 24 cards that never change, the engine pieces. We are playing the, let's see, let's make sure it's in view. We're playing the 3 Aruha, the 3 Rakea, and the 3 Sarama. This just never changes. You gotta max out on these. Sarama especially. I hate seeing people play 2 Sarama. Sarama is one of the best cards in the deck. And if you don't think so, I think you're playing the deck wrong. So, next we got the 2 copies of a bomb. This card is phenomenal. And the 1 disaster. This is the 1 card that you never want to draw. And it always feels like you draw way too often. So again, I said this never changes. If you're curious about any of the Unchained pieces, I have a lot of deck profiles on this deck. I've explained it a lot of times, so I think I'm not going to today just to save some time. Prison searches any Unchained card. Extravagance, because this deck doesn't need its extra deck to play. Surprisingly enough, it helps, but you don't need it. So yeah, Extravagance, really good draw power for the deck. Absolutely amazing card. Next, we are playing the Traps. We're maxing out on all of them, so we are playing the 3 copies of Escape and the 3 copies of Chamber. The one big difference this time around from like when I'm usually playing, I'm usually really hesitant to side out any key engine pieces. But this time, I'm like, you know, there are situations where it's just siding in more hand traps or some other cards, which is way more important than me opening a trap with an Unchained monster. But yeah, these are the 24 cards. They don't change. I suck at fanning cards out on a rubber playmat. Probably should have done this on a cloth playmat. But yeah, these 24 cards, they do not change. They always stay the same. Now, as for the other 16 flex spots that you have in the deck, first off, Pankratops. This is a flex spot. Honestly, I did cut the board breakers, so I am thinking about cutting the Pankratops. Like, don't get me wrong, Pank is a good card. I don't think you needed this format. Maybe I'm wrong, but I am going to try cutting this. So if there's any changes you want to make to this list, start with the Pankratops. Next off, the 1 of DD Crow. So some obvious hits that you can think of with this card, DPE. DPE is a bigger problem for other decks other than Unchained because, you know, if you pop my cards, I just get another one, right? But it is still an annoying card to deal with. And another reason for DD Crow is prank kids, for example, when they use the Doodle Doo and they want to add back the cards. Virtual World when they send the spell. But again, DD Crow, not the best card in that situation. And I'm going to go into another card that I think maybe would have been better. But yeah, also another situational use for DD Crow is there are builds that play the Brave Engine that do go into Cherubini in order to dump the Water Enchantress. So that way you can Crow that before they can banish it from their graveyard. But again, a card that I think might have been better is Skullmeister because Virtual World, for example, you don't want to DD Crow the spell because if they have another name in hand, they're just going to dump another spell and then they can use the spell effect. Whereas if you Meister it, they can't use the spell again that turn. DPE, probably, well, in that situation, it doesn't matter. I think it's more or less the same. And then with Prank Kids Skullmeister is probably better to just Meister the kid that they go in, or sorry, the kid that they link off to go into the Meow, because that way they just use their only link 1 because Meow is limited and Crow honestly just isn't that good into that matchup. So yeah, Skullmeister may be something I'm going to play around with. We'll see. We are playing the 2 Ash Blossom. The third one was cut for the 1 DD Crow. I really just wanted to test it out. Honestly, it wasn't that great. It came up, it did its job, but honestly, I think Meister probably would have been better in those exact same situations. Then we are playing the 3 Effect Veiler. Very good card. 3 Ghost Ogre, one of the best hand traps of the format. Then we got the 3 Nibiru and the 3 Imperm for a grand total of 15 hand traps. Like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, breaking boards just really is not the best strategy in this format. Just being able to stop your opponent, forcing them to waste their resources, whether it's in the extra deck, in the main deck, whatever it is, exhausting that, and then going for the kill, and then making that simplified game state where you have the rage or whatever, and just, you know, just trading one for one. That's how you win games with Unchained now. Breaking boards, like, you can try. I honestly had a very bad time with it. I just think this is significantly better. If you hate all the hand traps I'm playing, too bad it wins. Let's move on to the extra deck. This does not change. You gotta play 3 of these, 3 of each, because we are playing Extravagance. These are the important ones to break apart your opponent's board. I know we're not playing board breakers, but these still do just as good of a job, right? So yeah, these are absolutely key. Like, while the deck can win without playing any of its extra deck, when you do go into these, it just makes winning games so much easier. We are playing the One Bomb. If you are ever playing 3 of this card, I have no idea why. The only time playing 3 a bomb is acceptable is if you're on a budget. Like, if you're literally broke, this is the only time you play 3 a bomb. Otherwise, if I see 3 of this in your deck, I don't respect you. Next, we are playing Dark. This is one of the new additions to the deck. This card actually came up. Yes, it's not a Fiend, so sometimes you are Fiend locked and you can't go into it, which does suck. But this card can also just summon DPE. And I know you're thinking, okay, well, if you just pop the DPE itself, your opponent can activate the graveyard effect. And that's why you try not to do that, right? So what this card can do is get the DPE, and then you can pop your own Unchained cards, trigger them, and it just makes it so much easier to kill your opponent. And it came up in the game. No regrets. You can definitely afford to leave 1 slot open for this card. It's very, very freaking good. Next, we are playing the One Nightmare Unicorn. This is probably one of the most staple Link 3s to play in this deck, outside of course, the actual Unchained cards. Another Link 3 that I'm playing is Triple Burst Dragon. This card is situationally very good. It can negate the Ray from activating, for example, for Sky Strikers. And a situation that it came up in that I didn't expect it to, somebody was playing Earth Machines and I negated, I think it was their Citadel or whatever the heck the name of that card is. Super clutch. Unexpectedly clutch, but it is a very good Link 3. And then the other effect is, if you don't know, on the following turn or whatever, whenever it is your next turn, you can actually tribute this card and get back your Link 2 from the grave, which I think is insane. Next, we have the Decode Talker Extended. A lot of people do not play this card. I really like this card personally. I think it gives you another alternative OTK route because it becomes a big boy. And if something is destroyed in a zone that it points to, it can attack again. So that's a lot of damage. So if you have 2 things pointing here, right, it's going to be at 3,300. And if that can attack twice, oh my god, with a bomb and a twin, easy OTK. Next, we are playing the 2-Axis Code Talker. I'm sorry, this is not very budget, but you just gotta play it because if you banish one, if you're playing one and you banish it off the Extravagance, you're gonna have a bad time. So you gotta play 2 of this. And then for the last 2 cards, we are playing the Omega because you'll see Gamma in my side deck, and we are playing the Dingirsu because, well, Master Duel is the huge influence for this one because honestly, this card is a lot better Master Duel than it is in person. But I thought, hey, I'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. I made it once, but it wasn't in a situation where it was very relevant. But it didn't bother me. If anything, you can always take this out. Not the most important card in the extra deck whatsoever. Moving on to the side deck, nothing too crazy in here. We got the 2 Token Collector. We got the 2 Godarla. I kept the Godarlas in. I know I'm not playing a lot of board breakers, but sometimes there are virtual world builds that do end on Dragoon, and it's very hard for me to deal with that card. Like, if you've played Unchained, you know Dragoon is... it's awful to deal with this deck. It's very, very hard. So this is for situations like that. Next, we are playing the Gamma package. You saw the Omega in my extra deck. You knew it was expected. I told you guys. One of the reasons I'm not main decking this is because we are playing some breaks. I do want to open multiple hand traps. I don't want to open Ghost Ogre and Driver. That would really suck, right? And the fact that the deck already has some inherent breaks in the archetype makes it a lot harder to justify, or it makes it a lot harder statistically to open 2 hand traps if, hey, we're adding another brick in. Like, it kind of just sucks, you know? So when I do side in Gamma, it's for matchups like Flunderies, for example, where some other hand traps may not be as good. Where DD Crow, dead, I can side out some other cards, put in Gamma, and it's a lot more effective in winning that matchup because, believe it or not, Flunder, if they win the dice roll, is a very difficult matchup. So I believe that is it for the monsters. For the last few cards, we are playing some back row hate. We got the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and the 3 Cosmic Cyclone. I think Cosmic is just situationally a lot better than some of the other back row removal in this format because of Omni Negates for one, and the fact that you can activate this in, say, standby phase as opposed to waiting until the main phase where opponents have stuff like Schism. There's that Flunder Trap that also only activates in the main phase. And if you're wondering why not Twin, this deck really struggles with card advantage, so you can't really afford that extra discard. And finally, for the last 3 cards, we are playing 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Similar logic as to why I'm playing the Kaiju. Something like a Dragoon pops up, gotta have it, gotta out it. And 5 cards is better than just 2 outs to, you know, a very difficult card for me to beat. So yeah, that makes up the entire Unchained deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Thank you so much for watching. This is Bear, signing off. Peace, guys.